Welcome back, innovators and educators, to another episode of the Elimu Digital Podcast. I'm your host, Cindy, and today we are tackling one of the most pressing yet quietly ignored crises in modern education, the digital forgetting curve. We all know the scenario. A student spends 3 hours on a digital learning platform, clicks through the modules, passes the multiple choice quiz, and then crickets. So, 2 weeks later, the knowledge has simply vanished. Today, we are diving deep into our highly requested topic: how TFA prevents reversing cognitive loss in digital learning. Joining me today to unpack the incredible intersections of AI, neuroscience, and EdTech is our resident visionary, Dr. Wandera. Welcome, Dr. Wandera.
Thank you, Cindy. It's always a pleasure to be here. And you just hit the nail on the head in your intro. We are really facing an epidemic of passive consumption in digital spaces. So I'm thrilled to talk about how TFA is flipping that script.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So we can start right there. When we say cognitive loss in digital learning, what exactly are we talking about? And why did you specifically phrase our mission as preventing the reversal of cognitive gains?
Thank you. And this is a great question. So let's take a look in traditional digital learning, the way people design the digital learning. So the brain often enters what we call an autopilot mode because screens are inherently associated with passive learning. So I think about myself. I'm on Facebook, watching those reels, I'm doom scrolling, and I can go over and over and over. But at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I've wasted like an hour or two going through that. So we know it's like scrolling through social media or watching TV. The brain doesn't engage the deep cognitive gears that require for long-term memory synthesis. So it's not going to absorb all that content. So when we talk about preventing the reversal of cognitive gains, we're addressing the phenomenon where students achieve masteries on a Tuesday. So they got something on a Tuesday, but on a Friday, because the platform hasn't actively anchored the knowledge or provided them with the knowledge, then their cognitive retention reverses back to zero. So they absolutely non-zero from Tuesday to Friday. So what TFA platform is doing, it's not just about teaching new things, it's about to design a solution where we build an impenetrable fortress around that, where the student can really learn something.
That's very interesting. I love that imaginary where you've just said a fortress around what they've learned. So I just want to get an understanding, how does TFA actually build that? Can you give us a concrete example of how TFA's AI actively stops this cognitive bleed?
Absolutely. So let's look at a concrete example. So we know there's a scrolling effect versus the TFA data analytics and AI prompting. So imagine a high school student, so let's call him Leo, learning about cellular biology. A standard platform will give Leo a video to watch, a block of text to read. So what does Leo do? So Leo, as a typical student, he's just going to scroll at a pace that signifies passive reading. And then at that point, we know that, hey, Leo's speed is really fast. We need some intervention right here in real time.
Wow, so that's impressive. So what you're saying, it's going to track the students just by how he was skimming. It can track that and know he's just skimming. Okay.
Exactly. Using behavioral heuristics, that's our data analytics. It provides information that human intervention can step in and redirect and intervene in that passive learning. So if a student takes a minute to complete an assessment that requires like 15 minutes, we know we have a bigger issue here of retention. So by forcing that student to synthesize and then articulate the concept in their own words, we are instantly shifting the brain from passive consumption of content to active generation. And that's the story about cognitive redirection. Yeah.
That's very brilliant. Basically it requires the Feynman technique where you're teaching a concept simply to prove you understand it.
And you're spot on. And it's because
Mm-hmm.
it's powered by generative AI and data analytics. The
Mm-hmm.
platform evaluates and then provides actionable data. So we are not just presenting information, we are demanding cognitive engagement. You're demanding the students to learn something. That is how you stop cognitive loss in its tracks. Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting. And based on that, I just want to pivot to another aspect of cognitive loss, which is burnout. I feel a lot of people have experienced this. So sometimes students forget things, not because they are passive, but because they're overwhelmed. It happens. So, how does TFA learning handle this cognitive overload?
Yeah, cognitive overload is the enemy of retention.
Yes.
So working memory has a strict capacity. Again, so if you're
Mhm,
pouring a gallon of water into a small glass, then you make the
mhm,
mess. So we know it's going to
mhm.
fall through that glass and then it's going to make a mess. So this brings
Yeah.
us to our second concrete intervention. So where we provide a micro-adaptive pacing driven
Mhm.
by the sentiment analysis.
Okay, sentiment analysis. So that sounds a bit advanced. Could you break it down for our listeners?
So that's a good issue we need to address. So when you
Mhm,
talk about sentiment analysis, in the background, data analytics are constantly analyzing the steps or the micro indicators of the student struggling. So we
mhm,
look at number one, we talked about the response latency. How long does it take that student to answer that question? Are they taking a minute? Are they taking 15 minutes? Are they taking 2 minutes? And what is the time frame for this particular question? So that's number one, response latency. And then number two is error patterns. Are they making the same type of logical error repeatedly over and over? So are we seeing that? And then the last part of sentiment analysis so is linguistic cues. If this is an open-ended question, is an essay, are they using words to indicate frustration? So by looking at the response latency, error patterns, and logistic cues, we're able to deal with these issues of cognitive loss. So let's use an example. The student named Sarah, learning algebra. Sarah
mhm,
has been working on polynomial equations for 25 minutes.
mhm.
So our data analytics shows a spike in the error rate. So and the delay in response times. So we know she's struggling. She's trying to work the problem. She's taking a longer time, and then we see the error going on. So
Mhm.
what a normal platform or a legacy platform or this old traditional platform will do, they'll just keep throwing questions at her until she fails the module.
Yes, I
And you
totally
know what
relate
happens?
with Sarah. So yeah, that will demoralize Sarah. I feel like Sarah is me to definitely demoralize the students.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's trauma or frustration
Mm-hmm.
actively inhibiting the memory formation. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, TFA analytics and the data AI seamlessly alters that environment. So in our instructional design, we
Mm-hmm.
have AI interactives that serves as highly interactive, engaging. We have some
Mm-hmm.
low-stake gamified review of concept that will really re-engage Sarah to master that concept. She
Mm.
struggled a few weeks ago. So
Okay, I
those are the
see.
things we employ. Yep.
Okay, so I see. So that means it builds her confidence back up while simultaneously reinforcing older knowledge.
Precisely. So what we
Okay.
do is we manage the cognitive
Mm-hmm.
overload by
Okay.
giving her brain rest. So she's
Mm-hmm.
not just getting frustrated from the same problem she's trying to address. So that
Mm-hmm.
brain rest from heavy lifting prevents the reversal of her previous gains and resetting that mental state for her. So we use a different way of teaching, a different visual, so she can be encouraged. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, that's a really incredible level of personalization because then it feels like every student has a world-class tutor sitting right next to them.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate promise of AI in education technology.
Mhm,
So, Cindy, what we want is to democratize access to hyper personalized education, not just personalized
mhm,
education, but really want to narrow down to that particular student needs. So, to bring it all together, we use what we call a dynamic knowledge graph. So, data, think of a 3D map of a student brain. living in a TFA learning ecosystem. So very normal things they're used to. So we have red zones. These are the concepts that they keep forgetting. We have yellow zones, the concept that they haven't really reviewed recently. And then we have green zones, which are mastered concepts.
So the platform, the TFA platform, is constantly updating this map in real time?
Every milliseconds. And this is how we implement a final weapon against cognitive loss. Exactly. We don't just wait for a student to fail a test and find out what they forgot. We predict the forgetting and preemptively we enforce the memory. So that is the literal definition of preventing the reversal of cognitive loss.
Wow, that's very detailed, Dr. Onderam. That's mind-blowing, actually, because it is so clear that TFA Learning isn't just a platform. It's a cognitive partner for students by using active AI prompting and the micro-adaptive pacing and dynamic knowledge graphs that you mentioned. So you are fundamentally changing the architecture of digital learning.
And thank you, Cindy, for pointing that out. So education isn't about what you cram in the student's head for a test. And that's what we know. It's about what stays with them for a lifetime. So we really want the students to master these competencies. So at TFA, we are proud to be the leader, to be in the forefront of making that reality so that the students can master these competencies.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Wandera. We're so proud to share this journey with you. To our listeners, if you want to see these incredible AI tools in action, head over to the TFA Learning platform and experience the future of education for yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to the Elimu Digital Podcast for more insights into how we are shaping the future of EdTech. Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and keep growing.